often I find that I don't have really much to say. Basically, it's really so simple. It seems simple, and sometimes, of course, it seems very complex. But basically, our true self, our actual experience is not the download of the mind. We're not what we are. Where the peace is not via the thoughts that we have about ourselves or the thoughts that we have about others, about the world. When we look into our belief structures and we look closely, they start to sort of fall apart. And initially it may seem disconcerting, like, oh goodness, what's happening? It's as if sort of the ground is dropping below our feet, like as if we're in a field of quicksand. But soon enough we find that as these structures, these beliefs start to sort of dissolve, we find more and more peace in our life, sort of a peace that we sometimes say the causeless peace, a peace that has no reason. It just is. And as we start to savor this peace, we find that this peace is our very self. In other words, it's there. No matter what, it's there. And often we look away from it. It's out of old habits. We look out in experiences. We look out into direction of time, future, or the past, and we find that we get confused all over again. We download the hopes and the sorrows, are right there. They rise again, and we find that we're wrapped up in the mind all over. And in a way, this process, we all are familiar with it, and over time we realize that it's part of the puzzle, and it brings us to questioning. It brings us to looking. It brings us to inquiring, and also it brings us to sort of relaxing and letting go, because in the inquiry we come more and more in touch with a dimension that doesn't need anything. It is not requiring or seeking anything, and the more we sort of notice that, and we find ourselves enjoying the beauty of that, the peace of that, the love of that, the freedom of that, the well-being of that quality, and so our tendencies over time, they weaken. Our tendencies to grasp and to avoid weaken, and it's a very beautiful thing, because it's more peaceful, it's more tranquil. So I know that we all know what I'm talking about, and so it's a sharing that resonates for us, because we're together in this journey in a way. It's not possible for anyone to do the journey alone. We're interconnected via this field of consciousness, but which is really not a field. That the reality of being, words fall short, of course, but and so it's that wholeness, that oneness, that whenever we're referring to that, it resonates for all of us, because we are that, and so there is a resonance within us that yes, the causeless peace, the inner light of being, is what we are, and it's very lovely and very beautiful. And so then we found ourselves sort of falling in love with the contemplation, and living it. It's sort of, we live it by recollecting it. Somehow we recollect it, and then it starts to recollect itself through us. And at some point it's living itself through us. Anyways, just a few words. And at some point in our contemplation, we find that the transparency of being becomes our experience. And it doesn't leave itself like it used to in the past. And that's very lovely, because in a way it's our home, and it's like coming home, and at home you can take off your shoes, leave them anywhere, and you don't have to behave correctly. You are enjoying your freedom, you see. You can stick your finger in the honey pot and enjoy the honey, which you would not do in public, Well, so I welcome any comments, questions, anything you want to look at, anything that you're pondering or whatever. You're welcome to share it. Oh yes, Rashmi. So any questions or any comments? Anything that anybody would like to explore?
Hi, Magdi.
Yes, hello. Is this Zoe?
Yes.
No, hello, Zoe. Hello, Zoe.
So I was just reflecting somehow, like my religious upbringing has been coming up, and then, well, I was raised Catholic for a little while, and just this whole concept of God being a power outside of myself. And I remember going to Sunday school, and they're saying God is everything, which at that point made no sense to me. If God is everything, then how could I worship something outside of myself?
Right.
And so coming upon this teaching, now it's like the light has been shown. And even though though I don't know if I completely understood when I first heard "you are unborn." Something resonated in me when I heard that, and it's almost like this thing of, that analogy of the emperor's new clothes. As a child, it's like, well, this doesn't make sense. Why are you telling me, I have to do this and stand up and sit down, and to God. And now seeing that it's just all belief structures, and that God is not a power outside of myself.
Yes.
And yet there's also, I have this devotional nature. And when you said it's not possible to do the journey alone, that really struck me. And I don't know what really my question is, except that maybe this devotional nature, it's like I can't worship something outside of myself anymore, but yet there's still this draw, to satsang and to be contemplating. I guess that's a form of devotion in a way.
Well, contemplating, inquiring, satsang is not outside of yourself. Sometimes it's very helpful to have an object to sort of help us with when there are like so many bees in our mind, our thoughts and our feeling and our emotions are all over the map. It's good to have a focus. So in the spiritual arena, to have a guru, a god, an object of devotion, a mantra, or something that you can sort of use, you can sort of turn your attention to and focus your attention on as an object that is sort of represents truth in a way. It's not like focusing your attention on the oak tree in the forest. Although the Taoists, in the Taoist tradition, they do a lot of nature contemplation. They sit out and they focus their attention on nature, which is in a way an object, of contemplation. But it's not. It's more diffuse. Initially, it's just a forest or a field, but there is a quality to it that sort of represents beyond the image, beyond what you are seeing. So when you are using a mantra, or when you're contemplating on the light within the heart, or when you're meditating upon God's face, various objects of meditation, of contemplation, they refer to something that's beyond just the object. So God, although it is at some point in our contemplation, we are meditating on God as the creator outside of us. It may be a helpful crutch, a helpful practice, a helpful sadhana up to a certain point, because at some point it served its purpose of sort of focusing your attention in a way, but it hasn't satisfied your thirst or your hunger for truth, for happiness. That is still unfulfilled. So then you start to look beyond that. So devotion, this is in a way what we are speaking about, towards an object that has sort of a divine quality or divine representation. at some point it becomes devotion to truth, to reality, to what's real, and then the devotion is imbued with love. So there is devotion and there is love simultaneously. The devotion and the love. The love meaning the interest and the passion and the willingness to do what it takes, within our capacity in that direction. So when we in the contemplation on towards truth, towards love, and it's imbued with love, which is sort of like a devotion. So now you have the devotion, the love, and you have the interest in truth. So in a way, it's like the devotional path and the path of contemplation that are together, and that's very beautiful because you have the love and at the same time you're interested in truth. So you love the truth, you love God, you love reality, you love the Guru, you love the self. At the same time, you're interested and you are passionate about truth. So in satsang, we love truth, and we are also looking into what is reality, what is causeless happiness. When I say what is reality and what is causeless happiness, because reality is one. It's not, there aren't two realities, there's one reality. And when you contemplate this one reality, that means everything is that. All is that. There is nothing but that. And when there is everything is that, then there is nothing lacking. Right? There's nothing outside of that. There's nothing missing, nothing that is needed. And that's happiness. You're happy when there is fulfillment. There is nothing needed. All is well. So contemplation of truth and the contemplation of happiness, you realize that truth and happiness are not separate. They're not two. There isn't. They're inherently one. So in satsang, in a way, satsang is a place of peace and well-being and celebration and happiness. And of course, it's also a place where we're sitting together around the fire of truth, and from various perspectives, we are looking and warming ourselves around the same fire, the common fire, the common light, the light of being, the fire of truth. I'm not sure where I took your questions away.
It's beautiful, Magdi. So it just brings me to that thought that desirelessness is happiness.
Yes, because it's a peace in a way. Because when you are desireless, you are content. It's the same. The desirelessness and contentment are the same.
Why don't they teach that in church?
It's in there, you know.
It's in there.
You have to,
after you stand up and sit down for 300 times, then.
Right. No, that's the church. You know, I was in the Zen Buddhist tradition, and we used to do prostrations and all of that. It's, I don't know, it has its place in a way. I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember this one night I was in a retreat, and and there was a particular chant. It was like 9 o'clock in the evening, very soft light, in very, very, very soft, almost like darkness in the Zen center, with chanting to Shakyamuni. No, I'm sorry, Manjusri. Was from the Manjusri, the Buddha, the Bodhisattva of compassion. And I had chanted that so many times, during the retreats, and then I remember this one night when I was chanting this chant, and we're bowing and chanting, that something none that I cannot explain sort of happened within my being, within my heart, within my entirety. It was very, very, you can't explain these things, very sweet and very melting, quality. So, every person's path takes them where they need to be, and sometimes it is, sometimes it's ritualistic, you see. You don't end up there, but you may journey there. But in terms of desirelessness, you cannot force it, you see. You cannot be desireless, cannot desire to be desireless. It's more of sort of understanding the process of desire, the process of separating, objectifying yourself, or subjectifying yourself, which is a form of objectification, separating yourself as a subject or a personal object from something else, you see. In spirituality, it's from enlightenment, or from an experience, or from an object, you see. So then there is desire, you see. Then there is, there is a subject and the object, the sense of lack, needing that having this experience, or having something will make me happier, or will fulfill me, or you can't avoid that. When it's happening, you say. But there can be an understanding, you say, an understanding of the process. And when there is an understanding, it shifts the karmic realm, because there is sort of a karmic realm sort of operating, like a magnetic fields, universal cosmic fields that are operating. But when there is an understanding about truth, it shifts the entire astronomical and astrological realm. It's very powerful, but you cannot force it, you see. So it's a matter of being drawn and being interested in the contemplation. And when you are, it draws you. It's like there is a field within truth that's pulling you, that pulls you towards it, you see, towards it. Sometimes some people speak of, like, within you, the self, which is truth, is pulling you from within, and from, quotes unquote, outside of you, the teacher is pushing you. I've heard it somewhere.
I've heard that too, but yeah, it definitely is becoming more.
So when you come to a teacher, the teacher is going to not draw you to himself or herself, but is going to push you, draw you to yourself, to yourself. So it points you to yourself, and yourself, the self, pulls you to yourself, which is a zero pull, because you are the self already, you see. So it's not like It's, as I say, a journey that from here to here, a journey that takes no step. It's a journey without a step, without one step.
Yeah.
So it's a journey from eye to eye. But given that I am I, it may seem that, oh well, then that's it, I'm I, you know, there's no journey because I'm already I. But in fact, there is a journey.
Yeah.
You know, there is a journey, and you cannot bypass it, you see. You can say, okay, well, I am the self, period. No. You have to realize the self, then to say, I am the self, you see.
Yeah. And complete love and devotion. You know, it's like this, what do you call it? Almost like an oxymoron or something like that. There's no journey, but there is a journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and then I had one more question, sort of like when you said it last time, I think you were speaking with Eric about, you know, giving money to, you know, people who are apparently homeless or whatever, and that this judgmental thought arose.
I gave $1 today, Eric.
Okay, all right. You got your brownie point.
Okay.
Yeah, and I, you know, every once in a while I'll do that too. But that when you spoke about this judgmental thought arising, so that was really cool for me to hear, because, you know, I guess this misconception that once the realization is stable, that no more judgmental thoughts will arise, that anything can arise.
Yes.
I don't know if Magdi said I don't know if it was Magdi said a judgmental thought.
I thought he said something about why the thought arose that this person was young, so why doesn't he get a job?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So much in the present, I can't remember.
I know, me neither. But anyway, it's on tape.
Thank goodness for technology and the recording. but then it's you have to listen an hour and a half. Oh my God. Yes, it's fleeting. That's the thing. You know, like the weather can arise. You see, there isn't an issue about it.
Okay.
So something can arise, but you don't get wrapped up around it. You don't have to be anybody or to be anything or to be the perfect whatever, whatever it is. Huh? Yeah?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's been one of my vasanas, you know, the vasana of perfectionism. So I was just going, yeah.
You know, in absolute humility is perfection, you see, because I mean, you go in the forest. Do you see like a perfect tree? I mean, I know that they try to find the perfect Christmas tree, you know, for what is it called in New York City where they put it, you know, in the Rockefeller Center, you know, they the perfect, or they put it by the White House, you know. But in fact, when you go into the forest and you see, it's all, everything is appearing in so many different ways. Similarly, we are like that, you know, we are like that, meaning what appears in its various infinite forms. But you do not become some object or somebody when there is a certain judgment at that moment. You're saying, oh gee, wait, this person looks like, this person looks healthy, looks young, look, darn, even if they come to me, I could hire them. But we don't know, of course, their conditions. We don't know what else is happening in their life, in their mind, in their history. We don't know. But that thought may arise. And so what?
Yeah.
So what?
Okay, that's good.
This thought may arise, and sometimes the thought arises, oh, I think, yeah, I'm going to give this person $1, you know, let me give them $1. This is similar. It's a similar thought.
Yeah.
It's a similar thought. In a way, it's like it's a positive judgment. Oh, this person needs $1. Let me give them $1 or something like that. You see? right? So it's not about that. And in your life, you would find that there isn't the stickiness, sticky, the sticking. There isn't the stickiness. All is well. Things unfold the way they unfold. And it's somehow magical, because when you are all is well in your actuality, what is magical is somehow the dream becomes, meaning life, what we call life, becomes sweet, bountiful, magical. It's very surprising how it operates.
Wow.
And then I can say with certainty, with assurance, that I am doing nothing. It just comes through me, to me and through me, you see. It's just amazing. Everything, the flow, the abundance, the beauty, the love, the wisdom, the sharing, it comes through me, and like a flow that is not arising from me, from my effort or from my personal smarts or anything like that. You see. So, and it is true, though. I think it's important to share that you become non-judgmental. But like Francis says, Eric heard him many times. He always says, well, 99.9%. But it's true that you're no longer interested in that. It's no longer to judge yourself or judging people, or things should be this way or things should be that way. No. We don't know how. Like, the other day in here, there was a huge sudden torrential rain. I don't know if any of you live around Washington, D.C., but it was just an amazing torrential rain that just affected everybody. It created all sorts of havoc, flooding and basement flood, all sorts of, it happens just like that. It happened like that. Within a few hours, you see, that's the weather. You see, it's weather.
Yeah.
So what really matters, I'm just speaking, from my experience, is to know yourself, to awaken from the illusion, the me illusion, this virus that somehow has settled within us. We all share this virus. We all know it. The me is just this constant me buzzing, to become free of that, and it's so beautiful that we have that potential, the full potential of freedom, of awakening from that dimension. So yeah, if some thoughts arise, they arise like the clouds, like the passing clouds. Some passing clouds, they stay, how long? Some are 10 minutes, some are an hour. So what? Right? So what? What's a big difference? It's wanting things to be different. And when you look at that, it's self-inflicted conflict.
Yeah.
You want things to be different. Because nobody's forcing you. right? I mean, you could say, well, my grandmother, my mother, or whatever. But you're an adult now, you know. Are we? We can. Nobody's forcing us, right? I mean, so we at least we can realize that nobody's forcing us.
Yeah, good point.
Right.
Maggie.
Right. Nobody's forcing us to be unhappy. Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Zoe. Should I maybe look at the question that was sent to me? Yes? Yes, sir. You're okay? So Richard sent this. Richard, I don't know if you're online, but otherwise you can listen to it in the recording. You say, when painful emotions come up, from the personal self perspective, it's evidence of how unspiritual I am. And I need a deeper spiritual experience so that these sort of things are transcended. From consciousness perspective, it seems like I have simply allowed the lid on the boiling pot of suppressed feelings to come off, and that energy has an opportunity to know its true reality. How to know how to deal with the echoes of past trauma so that they are not denied nor indulged. Thanks, Richard. So you say, when painful emotions come up, from the personal self perspective, it's evidence of how unspiritual I am. Yeah, sometimes we do that. We do judge ourselves. We are failing, we're unspiritual, we're no good. We've been at it for so many years, and then here are painful emotions still coming up, you say. Yes, I'm familiar with that. And in a way, this sort of conversation is it maintains the me impression. When I don't have painful experiences or painful emotions, I'm a good spiritual person. And when I'm having painful emotions, then I'm a bad spiritual. I'm unspiritual as a person, you see. So both the negative judgments and the positive judgments, spiritual or otherwise, they're about maintaining the me, a good me or a bad me. And these conversations and these feelings, inner conversations and of course inner feelings, they arise in the light of awareness. And the light of awareness, it shines equally on the negative conversations we are having about ourselves or about others, and the negative feelings we are having vis-a-vis ourselves or others. And similarly, the light of awareness shines equally on the positive inner conversations and feelings we are having about ourselves or others. And that's fascinating, isn't it? That there is this, the light of awareness is impartial to the personal images, what we say personal, what we call personal images. It's impartial to any arising. So that's available to us via our interest and via our understanding of the teaching, that to turn one's attention to the source, meaning that the light of awareness is what is shining, you see, and it appears as sometimes negative thoughts and emotions, and sometimes positive thoughts and emotions. And in a way that will continue, this process continues, as long as we haven't fully pierced through the illusion of the me. So there is, and the fuel is still burning, in the me impression is still alive, see. And the more you turn your attention towards the light of awareness, which is our very self, which is the reality of our experience, the less fuel becomes available to the personal dynamics that what we refer to as a personal self. It somehow works this way, you see. You say, from consciousness perspective, it seems like I've simply allowed the lid on the boiling pot of suppressed feeling to come off, and that energy has an opportunity to know its true reality. Yeah, you could say that from consciousness perspective, it's allowed the lid on the boiling pot. The consciousness is always removing the lid on the pot, and it's revealing that, in fact, there is no pot. It doesn't, for sure, it doesn't cover the pot. But also, from consciousness perspective, there is no pot, and therefore there is no lid. But it's a good perspective to take, that from consciousness perspective, whatever is arising is being welcomed to sort of relieve itself, let's say, out of the hidden faults of your being. The situations in your life that arise, that trigger those negative emotions. And these situations, they are they serve a purpose of liberating, one could say, that, or de-anchoring those aspects of ourselves that are held back and hidden, which arise like as a negative emotions. It's important not to judge yourself when when that process occurs, because when you are judging yourself, you are avoiding. You're trying to sort of put the lid back on. You're trying to move the process to where you want it. See, as a personal self, it's safer for you to judge yourself. In your thinking process, you think it's safer for you to judge yourself, and that's why you do it, than to experience the emotion. So try sometimes not to move away from the emotion by judging it. Just allow it to be, so you can experience it fully, because consciousness, which is creating the opportunity of somebody crossing you in traffic or whatever happens, to bring out from you, to liberate you, to free you, or to free that vasana, to free that hidden contraction into the space. So there is a way of experiencing whatever is arising for you from a place of silence, from a place of stillness. One could say from a place of complete acceptance or complete allowingness, which is more in resonance with our true nature. Which is the vast stillness of being, unconcerned and untroubled. And very interested in liberating us from what we hold on to. And because whatever we hold on to is hiding our fears or our concerns. So we hold on to, like the child holds on to the parent's hand, or the daddy's pants or mommy's dress, not to get lost in the supermarket.
I have a...
Hey, Eric, yeah?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you very well, Eric.
Oh, good. I just got a new microphone, because apparently
cool.
the internal one wasn't working, so...
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. So you have a mic attached to the...
Yeah, it's an external thing here. Just
Yes.
Just plug it in to the USB, and that's it.
Wonderful, cool. Okay. Maybe at some point I'll get that information from you in case it's needed here.
You sound beautiful, so
okay, cool.
No problem on your side.
Okay.
But people were having trouble hearing me.
Yes.
I was, what you were saying about that question. There's a sense too in which, and this is something I'm exploring, is that any kind of reaction, and including a positive reaction, is part of a pattern of reaction. Robert Adams said something that really struck me. He said, "Your only freedom is to not react." And it's like, wow, what does that mean? You know, it's because so many of the things are so clear, and I could tell he was pointing to something very profound, but I wasn't. It took me quite a while to kind of have a sense of what he was talking about.
You know, maybe I can just speak with you. You know, just a little bit what's arising for me as I hear that.
It's like if what we are is total freedom, and if reactions are just kind of an automatic thing going on, that we're identifying with this movement of thought, or emotion, that kind of implies emotion, feelings and thinking, triggering each other off, and I guess we talked about this last week, that we make so much importance about feelings, but that can be positive emotions too. So then we're always on the kind of, reacting to life, like on this current, like, oh, that's great, oh, that's terrible, and placing so much value on opinions and judgments and feelings. And so to me, he's pointing to, and I'm just barely starting to articulate this, but as if this appearance, what defines us as a seemingly separate entity is just this pattern of reactions, preferences, whatever. It doesn't really exist, but we identify it and keep it going.
You know, it's really fascinating. I was just going to go to the metaphor of storm, and it's just pouring rain outside. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. Let me see if I can, I don't know if you can see it, it's, well, it's hard to see, but anyways, what is coming to mind, Eric?
Good timing.
Is that sometimes there is a storm, and there is lightning and thunder, and an hour later, a few minutes later, there is no more lightning or storm. It's somehow the barometric field has changed. But the sky, the wide open space, what we refer to as the sky, using that word, it remains the sky. The spaciousness of being remains the spaciousness of being. So I love Robert Adams, by the way. Just I've never met him, but here and there I have. My youngest brother Sammy used to listen to his podcast, and one day a few years ago he introduced me to him, and I was impressed by his teaching.
He's no longer alive.
Yes,
I mean,
yes, right.
But fortunately, somebody recorded the satsangs.
Right. I heard there were all sorts of controversies about whatever, the politics.
Oh yeah, his ex-wife wants to.
Yeah. But
control the copyright.
that would be more what Robert Adam would be talking about. In terms of reacting, you see, like there is sometimes an energetic expression that may seem to come from ignorance, to seem to come from me versus you, or from person A towards person B. It may all look like that, sound like that, seem like that, but the experience may not be of that. So there can be a seeming reaction. That's why I use the example of a lightning or a thunderstorm. What may seem to be a reaction on the surface, but the core or the inner, again, it's metaphoric because it's really one field, is at peace.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I mean, at times I kind of mentioned this before. I'll see myself acting spontaneously and appropriately, but it's almost like you're observing
Yes.
it happening, and
yes.
And it's all harmonious,
Yes.
even if you don't see it at the time.
Right. Yes.
There's a kind of a remarkable way that it is.
Yes. Yes. In terms of ignorance, it is more the action or reaction, whichever word you want to use, that is on coming from the personal self, is on behalf of the personal self. It's about the personal self. It's about me. It's about my feelings, about my safety. It's about my emotions, about my feelings. It's about my story. It's all so like a flash. All of it is there in that moment. My whole field of stories and histories and is there in that moment, unseen, operating as there is an emotion. There is an emotion within this sort of reaction, and it has an echo within oneself, an imprint, you could say, maybe within oneself and within the entire space, including others, and it triggers, the same viral infection. So it's more sort of being, our freedom is the freedom to choose ignorance or not. And of course, this freedom is available to all of us, but although it is available to all of us, we may not be aware that the key is in our pocket, you say. We may be looking everywhere else than in our pocket for the key, say.
Yeah. And a lot of those reactions I observe, it's about the past and the future.
Yeah.
It's like in the exact moment.
Right.
What is it? It's not okay. It's always about what's going to happen, what did happen.
Yes.
Very time bound.
Yeah, there comes a point in our contemplation where we're starting to get a sense that the key is nowhere in the house, or which, we have 14 rooms or 4 rooms or 3 rooms. It's nowhere out there. It's not under the couch. It's not under, in any of the drawers. We still don't know exactly where the key is, but we're getting that, okay, it's nowhere out there. So we already called the office, check if we left it on the office desk. We called the supermarket because we bought some tomatoes. They don't have it in the lost and found, etc. And but we still haven't somehow checked in our pocket, you see. But it's nobody's fault. That's what's really beautiful. It's like nobody's fault. Who is there to blame? There's nobody to blame. That's what's happening. In a way, we are no longer, and that's a beautiful thing, we're no longer looking out there. Now we're just sort of really looking within, and then there may be the flash of lightning. Wait a minute. I check my pocket. It's a silly example, of course, but you say, so...
I still find myself looking to online teachings or reading, but it's a mix of just joy, enjoyment, celebration of the truth, as well as loving, contemplating really puzzling questions, you know, that kind of become deeper, like is form real or absolutely unreal? And it doesn't really matter, but it's a one-pointedness.
Yeah, you know, like Francis says, you know, whatever we're doing out of love is beautiful. We're doing it out of love, and so when we are contemplating the various teachings or various inquiries online or via books or by just within ourselves, and we're doing it because we're loving it. It's beautiful, especially in the case where our love is directed towards you know, the understanding. You know, of course, like it could be directed towards becoming a pianist, of course, but in particular when it's directed towards the understanding, then we have it's a very particular, it's a very there is somehow some blessing in that interest or in that love, or maybe I could say that it's somehow God now is loving itself through us. Of course, it can also love the game of tennis, like Francis, through us as well. And I find it delightful when it's loving itself through us. And you know, as I mentioned, I think previously, I spent many years just doing Zen meditation and contemplations and study of the self, and it was a passion and a fascination for me. It's really wonderful. So, you know,
there's also something magic that seems to happen in satsang. You know, like with it, I could contemplate these philosophical questions forever, or spiritual questions, but you know, meeting Francis, talking with him and Laura, something happens in the background or over time that's inexplicable. It's like you know, that melting or something that's more about the heart.
yes,
And those questions kind of dissolve the duality. And you can see it looking back, and you can see, oh, I've gotten happier, life is more harmonious. I'm not sure what happened. When Francis used the metaphor, you caught the disease. This time it's the good virus.
Well, we don't need to know, you know. If you are happy, you don't need to know why you are happy.
Right. But you know, the inquiring minds. I love writing and
Yes.
and conversation, and so I like to put things into form. And
Yes,
and
you know, you have a certain talents and certain interests, and so that's beautiful to be living, celebrating, enjoying, and I'm sure others around you will enjoy.
I hope so.
Yeah, I have seen a couple of your posts. That I know that you do some writing or editing about Robert Adams, and it's very lovely.
Oh,
And that wonderful
thanks.
guitarist, that you posted, that was
Oh yeah, he was
yeah,
beautiful.
really.
Lovely. Quite a master of.
I love also that the quality of inner contemplation that he brings into his playing.
Yeah. I think the direction to go, I think, with the writing is for it to just become simpler and less of any kind of sort of person or agenda there at all. It's just a simple, obvious expression, and I like that about your posts too. They're you don't get philosophical. It's just keep it simple and
Yes.
to the point.
Yes. The more we are somehow when an expression comes through us and not from us, meaning it's coming through us, it's very beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you can't even really take credit for it.
We can give credit for it.
I'm going to turn on my air conditioner, so I'm going to turn off the mic.
Okay, Eric. Nice chatting with you. Any comments or questions from anybody? I'm going then to take this opportunity to go to the next question that was sent to me. It goes, you speak of investigating the dream character. What is the dream character and how do I investigate it? You also say that I have created this dream. How have I created this dream? Can you explain some more? Yes, when I speak of investigating the dream character, I'm speaking of investigating the belief that I am an object, I am a person, I am an event in time and space. Investigating the belief that I am Magdi, that I am born, and that I am going to die. And this investigation requires a discrimination, which in the Hindu scriptures they refer to as viveka, the discrimination between what is form and what is formless. So yes, the body is born. Yes, the body dies. And we experience the body. That which experiences the body is not the body. That which experiences the dream character, that which experiences the dream via the dream character, that which experiences perception via the oculary system of the body-mind, that which experiences hearing via the oculary system of the body-mind, that which experiences thoughts via the mental, via the, say, brain activity of the body-mind, is not the body-mind, is not the instrument. When you are perceiving the birds via the binoculars, it is not the instrument that is perceiving, it is not the binoculars that perceive the birds, it is you, you meaning the formless, not the form, not the binocular, you meaning consciousness, you meaning presence, awareness, what is referred to as the self. So the investigation of the dream character requires your inquiry into what is real and what is appearance. So the body-mind appears to you as perceptions, sensations, and meditations. And constantly changing, constantly shifting, frame by frame, which is fine, there's no issue with that. But you are not that. You are not that, that frame. You are not that impression. You are not that mind impression. You are the reality of this impression. So this impression, this perception, this sensation refers to its reality. and its reality is you meaning awareness. And that is not an object. And the character that appears to you, which appears to you are thoughts, the Magdi thoughts, the memory, Magdi's parents, Magdi's history, blah, blah, that appears to you as thoughts and images and feelings and emotions. What I refer to as the dream character, that appears to you as images, as sensations, as memories. And you are not that which appears. That which appears refers to the true you, which is not an object. So it's like a good metaphor is in your night dreams. In your night dreams, you dream of various situations with various objects and various people. And the dream characters and the dream impressions are not separate from your mind, the dreamer's mind, from yourself. But you are not any particular dream character. All of these dream characters and dream situations are yourself, but you are not any particular dream character. So one could say that when you are investigating the dream character, you are inquiring into the reality of the I, the reality of awareness, the reality of consciousness, and you will come to the understanding in the perseverance of your inquiry that you, although you are not any object, all impressions, all appearances are your very self, that you are, the I am, takes on the form of all objects, but it's in taking on these forms, it remains objectless, it remains formless. So in fact, all forms are your dream. Which brings us to your next question. You also say that I have created this dream. How have I created this dream? You have created this dream because of your absolute freedom, not your freedom as somebody, but your freedom as awareness, your freedom as consciousness. You right now are perceiving these perceptions out of your freedom. You perceive it as you conceive it. So you're conceiving it and perceiving it simultaneously. So conception and perception are your creation, but you imagine that you are an object in time and space, that there is some other reality that is creating something, and you are, as a separate reality, experiencing somebody else's creation. That is the illusion. That is the unhappy dream, let's say. The happiness in the dream and beyond the dream will be revealed to you as you come to the understanding that you are the one reality, and that this one reality expresses itself as infinite minds and perceives via infinite minds without ever leaving itself. So well, any questions from anyone? Thank you. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just see the question. Hello, Magdi. What's the role of meditation in attaining self-realization? So it depends what sort of meditation you are making. Um, and it depends on why you are meditating. In other words, what is your interest? When your interest is impersonal, meaning when your interest is coming to you, it's coming through you. There is an interest that's coming through you, to you. It's not about your personal self. You're not interested in meditation to become a great meditator, to shine in the dark, or to teach people about meditation, which is okay. You could become a meditation teacher and make a living out of that. You know, there are people who do that and charge $50 a person per session, whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm not making any judgment about it. I'm just saying that depends what your interest in meditation. Where is it coming from? If your interest in meditation is about your personal self, somehow to aggrandize yourself, to become more likable as a person, because everybody around you is spiritual. Or if your interest in meditation is coming from beyond, through you, is sort of, you don't know why, but you're interested, you see. And you're interested because you have some sort of an inner sense of a higher truth, or an inner sense of a reality, or something that is sort of, you have an intuition of it, but you don't know what it is. And also, as I mentioned, it depends what sort of meditation you are making. So the meditation that aligns itself with your love for truth. So first, there has to be a love for truth that's coming through you, to you. And the meditation that aligns itself with your love for truth, then I would say that that you would be in a good way with that. Now the question would be, what sort of meditation would line itself with my love for truth, you say? And that also depends on your temperament, let's say. some are drawn towards more of a devotional type of meditations. Meditation upon the light within the heart, or meditation upon the Divine Mother, meditation upon universal love, or loving the Guru. And there are meditations that are where you are looking directly through and at the veils being the belief systems and the feeling systems. There might be a need in some cases to sit quietly. Some people start by doing breath work, not to become a good breather, but to sort of calm the mind and to become available to the inner realm of thoughts and feelings, which initially are overwhelming. But I have a sense, since you are in this satsang, that you are way past this stage. So therefore, your meditation would be the inquiry into what is the reality of my experience? What am I truly? What is it that is impermanent and what is it that is eternal, that does not come and go? What is it that's always there? So it's a sort of a meditation with an inquiry, an inner inquiry. Okay, Eric. Nice, sweet. See you. Thank you. Let's see. So, yes, the short answer to your question is the role of meditation. Meditation has a role. If it speaks to you, has to resonate for you. And if it's the correct meditation, the right meditation, the correct meditation, that takes you quickly to your destination, which is happiness. So the meditation that resonates in your heart and you feel is making you happier and happier, then it's the right meditation.
Thank you, Magdi. They say there's two schools of thoughts about it. Like, I've been seeking for more than 20 years now.
Yes.
And I've read so many books, attended so many retreats, and I feel it's meditation just happens. Like, sometimes I don't even want to meditate and I'll be forced to sit down and I go into this deep silence. And when I actually try to sit down and meditate, I cannot meditate. So
yes.
I really don't know. They say it's so simple, yet it's the most difficult thing to.
The way you're speaking about it sounds very beautiful. That sometimes you know it's just coming through you. You want to meditate. You find the place, the time somehow to do it because it's resonating for you. And sometimes when you're trying to meditate, it's not
doesn't happen. Yeah.
And then sorry to interrupt. When you are trying to meditate and it doesn't happen, then don't.
Mm-hmm.
Don't. It is a bad practice. You'll be developing a bad habit you're reinforcing the idea that I, the personal self, need to meditate. I must meditate. So you are feeding the wrong beast in a way. That's
Okay.
let's put it this way.
So then why do they say that, some sort of disciplined sadhana is very important? You have to be really, perseverance is very important. You have to be at it with all that you have. I mean, constantly at it.
It could be that is being said to remind us. It's like, in the some old villages in the medieval time, maybe it's still going on now, I don't know, in Europe, they used to ring the bell in the church. Ding dong, ding, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so everybody in the village hears the sound of the bell. And I think in the Muslim, in the Islamic traditions, they go up onto the minaret and the imam, they chant, they're high on the minaret, so the entire village can hear the call to prayer. So it could be that this sort of exhorting the folks to meditate, to pray, is part of this tradition. I just sort of taking a shot in the dark at it. I don't speak this way, but what you shared before was really beautiful. That in your experience, you find that sometimes it's your heart is burning to meditate, and sometimes it's just your mind that's saying, "Oh well, I should meditate. I should persevere." And the I should persevere it only feeds the me. Even if it's a spiritual me, or if it's trying to be a spiritual me, it's still not the reality of being. See, so a spiritual personal self or a non-spiritual personal self are still a personal self. You see, I would say that if you're doing the right meditation, which you described as, when you love to go and sit, and you're not seeking an experience, you're not seeking a state, you're sitting, you don't know why you are sitting, and you don't know anything about it. It's just something within you is drawing you to sit, listen, be. That this has a deep resonance within your being, which is quite different from seeking any experience for yourself. So follow your heart in that meditation that speaks to you. Be attentive that you are not wearing any new hat. You're not taking off the old hat and putting on a new hat. Instead, step into the not knowing, the being that does not need to know. that is our true nature. It's silent, it's still, and it's fully alive, complete and whole. Follow your heart, and the path that resonates deeply within you, that is the path. It's not the path of the mind or of any particular activity or non-activity. All what is needed comes to you when you take a step with open arms and open heart. Towards that which the mind cannot know, but the heart intimately knows and is. Well, thank you all. Very lovely to be with you. And we'll have the meeting at our house on Sunday, and we'll also be online. Namaste and thank you all.
Thank you, Maggie.
Okay, lovely. Good to see you. Okay, Kate, Richard.
Thank you, Magdi. Thank you.
Lovely.